Hi ladies, it's Michelle Last here and thank you for joining me at my March technique class. For this card we're using the Indescribable Gift stamp, which we're actually only using the blossom flower image. And you're going to be making this beautiful card. I have to say it's one of the most beautiful cards. I just love it, that I've made in a long time. Now basically the front layer is just a vellum piece. It's got a white background, then a crumb cake mount, and then it's stuck on the pink pirouette front. So what you'll find in your kit is everything you need for the front of your card is in the front of your envelope. And what we're going to focus on first is the vellum. So we're just going to grab the piece of vellum and we are going to heat emboss the blossom image with Versamark onto the vellum piece. Now what you're going to end up with, I twisted mine slightly by the looks of things, you just want to get the blossom on the piece of vellum fairly near the top so that the little newsprint trim is going to not be too big a gap in between the two. So ink up your blossom stamp, line up your vellum, and I'm going to just slightly twist it and stamp it down. And then you won't see that, but I'm going to heat emboss that with white embossing powder. So I've got my white embossing powder and sprinkle that. Lovely, can you see that? Quite hard to see, but the powder is on there. There we go, that's better. Now I'm going to heat set it with the heat tool. It's just going to be noisy for a moment, and I'll try and twist it towards the camera so you can see, but don't hold the heat tool too close to the vellum because you will burn it or warp it. So turn it on, get it hot. Now you'll know when it's working because it'll pop bright white. Can you see I've just missed a little bit of powder on there? It's not too late. I can still add a tiny bit of white powder on that. Can you hear that noise? That's my worktop for my kitchen being cut. Can you see there? Can you see it's just a bit dull compared to the rest? So if I just mix it up, you can see that pop right out. I also have got a little bit too much just over here, but that's absolutely fine. We'll pretend that's not there. Okay, so we've got our lovely image on the vellum, and what you're going to do now is how I got that really beautiful subtle colour is I actually coloured the reverse, and when you see the reverse you'll say, oh my goodness gracious me, in which you can't colour for toffee. You don't need to be a colour expert for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use my pink pirouette blendabilities. Now these are the blending alcohol markers from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to choose the thick tip of the lightest shade and I'm going to go over the back of all of the flowers. Now it really is very light and very subtle, and that's good. Don't panic if it looks like nothing is happening, okay? Because you'll see when I lay it over the white cardstock you can actually see it so much clearer. Still very subtle, this colour. That's why we're going to add the other colours from the blendabilities. So it's difficult to know what's petal and what's leaf. So I'm just... The brilliant thing is you can go over it all, look, you don't have to worry about the lines because the lines are on the other side. And you can go over it twice, so if you want to create a deeper colour, just going over it twice will give you a deeper shade. Then I'm going to go over here. Can you see how quick I'm doing this? It's just brilliant. need to get to these buds. Can you see I'm bending the nib of this blendability? It's absolutely fine, nothing bad is going to happen. Just getting a nice coverage of ink. That's so subtle, you can't see that very well at all. But when I lay it on top of the white, you can actually begin to see the pink shade. I can see it better than I think you can there. It's a bit better. So it's very subtle. So I've done the pink, so now I'm going to flip it back over and I'm going to the medium pen, which is this one. Thick tip again, and I'm just going to add a bit more colour wherever I just want it to be a slightly darker shade. It's very, very subtle again, so you could go over the whole thing if you wanted to. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, I'm just going to accent certain parts of it. Perhaps some of the inside and outside petals. Being really quick, I don't want to keep you waiting too long. Okay, so you can see a little bit more of my colouring there. And then again, when you lay it over the top, you can actually see we've got a bit of shade going on here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the darkest pen, thick tip again, and I'm just going to go dark on certain parts. Because I want to be able to see the subtle difference. I don't want it to be all just the same pink all over. So let's have a little look at that. So I am quite happy with that. I'm going to flip that over. I want to show you my one that I've done here. Can you see I've got quite a fluctuation in the green? So I've just done the darker green in the base of the leaf and the lighter green at the tip. So I'm now going to do that. So these are my 3 Wild Wasabi pens. So remember I said darker at the base. So I'm not going to go super dark. I'm just going to go medium. And just go a little bit dark at the base of my leaf. And also don't forget there's green at the bottom of the buds. Like that. And then I'm going to go lighter. There's not really any blending here, we're just colouring. You could blend it, but it's so subtle through the vellum it wouldn't matter at all. So let's see what this looks like in a minute. There we go. So I'll lay that over the white and it pops just a little bit more. Now I am going to add a touch of the darker green because it just wasn't popping enough. So there we are. I am going to need a brown shade. Just need to find the crumb cake to do the stalk. Which is here. And then when I flip it over, we've got a beautiful coloured image. Now the last detail is the bright pink dots around the edge of the flower. So I'm going to get my Melon Mumbo, the dark one, and I'm going for the thin tip this time. And now at the end of all the little stamens, I'm going to just add a little pink dot. And that just adds, it just lifts it, I think, just adds a little detail. So that's the colouring of the back of the vellum. What you're going to do now is you're just going to put a little strip of glue across the top of the vellum, she says, and stick that perfectly on top of the white card. And my vellum's just a little bit short there, but that doesn't matter because we're going to cover this top section. Okay, so we're going to cover that up there like that. And then we're going to get our little Apothecary Accents die cut, and that is designed to go over the top. Make sure you get your writing the right way up, It's designed to go over the top like that as much as you want. So if you want to meet up with the image, you can. If you want to leave a gap, you can. So what I'd recommend at this stage is that you ink your edges. So I'm going to just grab soft suede ink, and I'm going to ink up the bottom edge first. Now we are going to cut this down, so what I don't want to do is go to too much trouble, because we're going to be cutting the side pieces off, okay? So what I then need to do is I need to work out where I want that to go. So I'm just lining up an even gap here and here. I'm going to put a bit of glue on the back so that I can just stick it in place. Got my vellum's gone all squiffy. Okay, I can line it up. I want my vellum to sit perfectly on my white. Then I'm going to get my Apothecary Accents die cut and line that up. Make sure the writing's the right way up and make sure it's straight. And then I'm probably just going to use this like a present. Just put a bit of glue either side. Fold it in. And what I'm going to have to do is trim off the top because I didn't quite fold that in correctly. There we are. And that's going to go on there like that. So if I just fold that over, as long as I can't see that underneath, we're absolutely fine, which we can't. So get that stuck on there like that, and then I'm going to ink the rest of the edges. So I'm going to go in and ink the edges at the top and at the side. Make it all uniform. Then I'm going to get my bit of beautiful lace trim. That's going to tie around the front. So just tie that in a knot. I did it to one side. You can do it whatever you wish. If you're happy with it in the middle, that's absolutely fine. So let's just pull that through. Like so. I'm just going to trim off the excess. It's a bit big actually, I need to just trim that off a section. Hang on a second. And now I need to lay that on top of my crumb cake, which I will do now, including the lace trim. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there is no sentiment with this card. It just says for you, which I love because sometimes it's never a card with the right sentiment on. So this means you can either stamp your own sentiment on the inside or you could just make it a nice general one. So I'm going to stick that on the front of the pink pirouette card's base. Like so. My vellum's not quite lined up there. Just check yours and you can retrim it if it's not lined up. But even though the vellum is not attached, it doesn't want to flap open or anything like that. And then on the inside of the card, I've left mine plain again. So I'm just going to stick those together. And then the last thing we're going to do is the for you sentiment. Using a round array stamp set. Finally, my glue runner is doing what it should be doing. Right, so that's my card. Now you've got some scraps inside your pack. So one of them you're going to get the soft suede ink and the round array stamp set and find the sentiment that suits you. I've gone for the for you. So let's do that. And I've stamped it on the crumb cake, and then I'm going to stamp it again on the Whisper White. And then one of them I'm going to use the Scallop 7/8 circle punch and punch around it, which this punch was designed to fit around. Just line it up and punch it out. And then I'm going to get the 1/2 inch circle punch and just get the middle sentiment only, like that. Now I just need to grab a bit of a dimensional and a tiny bit of Tombow. So I just put a bit of glue in the middle there, stick that for you on, there, like so, and then grab a dimensional on the back, peel off the back, and then I'm going to just tuck it as if it's attached, just there like that. And there you go. There's your 2 cards. You'll have one, but I really love that card. I hope you love it too, and I hope you're impressed at how quick and easy it is to colour the back of vellum with blendabilities. Could always use our markers as well. So thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.